Welcome to ChiroSecure's Empowering Women in Chiropractic, the Facebook Live show for successful women by successful women, proving once again women make it happen. Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. Now join today's host, Dr. Julie McLaughlin, as she talks learning, living, and teaching. And now, here's Dr. Julie.
Hello, everybody. Dr. Julie McLaughlin here from Vital Health Protocols with Empowering Women from ChiroSecure. I'm so happy you joined me today. And thank you so much, ChiroSecure, for putting this show on. So let's everybody give them thumbs up and some love. And let's get started. I want to make sure that you all are going to be introduced to my friend Rachel Shapiro from Visita. Rachel is a marketing expert who specializes in helping businesses make the most of technology. She started her very first business when she was still in college, helping local small businesses build their web presence and shift from offline to online. Rachel is currently the product marketing manager at Visita, which I love that. It's an all-in-one platform that helps small businesses manage clients, appointments, and scheduling from one place. Rachel manages the communication with Visita's community, over 100,000 business owners. So Rachel, welcome to Empowering Women.
Hi, Julie. It's so great to be here. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about today's show.
It's going to be great. We have so many things. I have so many questions for you. So let's get started. So what are you seeing to be the most common COVID-created businesses challenges that you've seen? Because you have a lot of customers. I'm sure you've seen a lot.
Absolutely. So first of all, we can bring up our slides now. This is a really great question because I think, everyone is dealing with their own, challenges. I mean, I've been working from home now for almost 6 months, and, with 2 little girls at home, it is, wow. I mean, it's a completely different reality. And I think it's very helpful to sometimes hear about, other business owners and other doctors' challenges to kind of help and brainstorm as a community and come together with solutions that can really help us and, share the knowledge, share the tips. I've been seeing a lot of that lately and I'm really loving it. We've been hearing really there's a very wide range of challenges. I think there's a lot of stuff that kind of has to do with regulation. It depends a lot on where in the world you're from, but things are changing so fast. There's different restrictions like how many people you can have in your waiting room at once, or, what happens if someone calls in from a patient that was in your clinic last week calls up and says, oh, I'm a confirmed patient. What do you do next? You have to close down. There's just like, it's just like sort of continues to shift. And it's very hard to sort of comply with all that and change your clinic and change your workflow so fast to match all that and to, keep yourself and your team and your customers safe. There's also a lot of challenges with kind of, people either having to reduce their headcount or having people go out on sick leave, or just, sort of managing their clinic and sometimes the same volume of customers, but with a smaller skeleton staff. So there's all these stuff that you might have, you might have a person that usually does your scheduling or your billing, and suddenly you're stuck, seeing your patients and doing so many of these additional administrative tasks that are so time consuming and sometimes really hard to juggle with everything else that's going on. We've also heard a lot about, doctors that are seeing a decrease in volume, seeing less patients coming in, a lot of patients that are concerned, high risk patients that may be worried about leaving the house. and aren't, try to really reduce, the time they spend out of their home, and maybe even avoid coming into for routine checkups or anything that really isn't an emergency.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get it. I have seen all of those things in my practice. And I know you see businesses all over the world, and it's interesting. We are all feeling the same pain. So what kind of tasks that you do can be automated? How can we make this easier for us to navigate this crazy, as you guys at Visita say, business unusual?
Absolutely. Unusual is, I guess, the word. It's really, I mean, there's so many logistics that are going on, so like we talked about before a little bit, how, suddenly, you have to be on the phone and answer the phone and schedule patients and reschedule patients. And, people are calling you up and saying, oh, I can't come in on Monday. I have to come in next week. Or, someone suddenly, you've reserved a space for someone and suddenly they just don't show up. There's just like all these logistics and all these moving pieces when it comes to coordinating your schedule. And, you're spending precious time on all these additional tasks, and that's time that you easily could have been spending seeing your clients. So the first element is really getting the scheduling down, finding a workflow that works for you and works for your staff, finding a way to sort of automate that, not sitting on the phone day in, day out, getting people to fill in your slots, giving people hopefully like an automatic way where they can see your availability and find the slot that works best for them. There's also a lot of stuff with payments. So, calling people on the phone, reminding them about payments, or even just, having people call in and give you the credit card. There's also a safety issue with payments now. Some I've heard like from a couple of staff members saying that they feel uncomfortable handling cash or handling, whatever, hundreds of credit cards every single week. It's just sort of like another something that you have to worry about. So finding a way to sort of digitalize your payment flow is actually something that can be extremely helpful and help you keep your team safe, which is major.
Oh, I love that. I love that touchless payment, and it takes the whole payment process away from any kind of exposure, right? But it also helps you really get down to the business that you need to help the patient, and you don't have to deal with that payment because it's all automated. Do you ever find that some doctors worry that it's not the personal experience with the automation?
So that's interesting. That's something that does come up a lot with conversation with doctors and other small business owners, because when you serve a community, when you're working in a community, you do have these relationships with people. It's like, I'm sure this happens all the time, that you'll see someone like, I don't know, in the supermarket or something. They're like, hey, you haven't been to the clinic in a while. And I think that's something that, it's really an asset for your clinic, because your relationships, that's probably one of your business's, most precious assets. And you definitely don't want to lose that. You don't want to compromise your level of service. But when you work with the right tools, I find that you can actually enhance that connection and strengthen those relationships. So like, for example, what we do with Visita, we have these automated text message and email reminders that go out before meetings. So like, hey, don't forget, I'm really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, or thank you so much for dropping by this week. We look forward to seeing you again. These, these little, it's like the small gestures, these text messages and emails really go a long way and actually do help you give that extra personal experience that you might have not even been able to give if you didn't have these tools in place.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I know I can't believe, since I did this automation, because I lost my staff and I came back, it was just me. And so I've been doing these, and I've been able to realize that patients make appointments at like 1 or 2 in the morning. Who knew? They're not calling the office, but they're able to do it through your automation. I love that.
Yeah. That's great. It really gives you, I think, once you have this online scheduling system where anyone can access anytime and from any device and anywhere, it's kind of like staying, keeping the lights on 24/7. Because, people that have a busy day at work, they don't necessarily have time to call the clinic, but they will have time to, log into your client portal at whatever it is before they go to bed and schedule their next appointment.
Now, that's awesome. So what does that look like?
So I do have a couple of screenshots that I grabbed off your own website, Julie. Oh. You did a great job setting this up, and you guys, this is Julie's website. So you see how Julie has like a little pop-up window on the bottom. This is the Visita widget. So basically what it is, it'll pop up every time someone visits your website, whether they're an existing customer or a new patient that you haven't worked with yet. And it prompts them to schedule, and you can completely customize this, obviously, put in your own text, your own image, and then that will take the potential client to the service menu. So that's the screenshot you see on the left. So these are Julie's services, again, completely customizable. You put in your own services, you can put in little descriptions, you can choose an image, and then once the customer, or the patient chooses the relevant service, it'll take them to this calendar, which is a smart calendar. So you have to set up this calendar so it knows when you're available or when your staff members are available, and you can have different availabilities for different services. So it's all customizable. You can set everything up. It'll adjust itself to the time zone if you're working with different time zones. And all your patient has to do is just find the time slot that works for them and book their next visit.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So how do you suggest that the doctors improve their patient loyalty?
That's a big question, because in times like these, we really want to be able to sort of secure our revenues moving forward and have a clear understanding of, half of 2020 has gone by, but there's still pretty much half of it ahead of us, and we really want to try and get an understanding of what that year is going to look like, what the revenue cash flow situation is going to look like. And creating care plans is something that can really help. So when you have someone that comes in, and I know, Julie, I know you do this all the time, I've heard you talk about it. And when you have someone, come into the clinic, you can try and if they need, some sort of ongoing care, instead of just saying like, okay, you need to come in for, 4 weeks, twice a week, or 3 weeks, once a week, instead of just like kind of leaving that up in the air, you can say, come, let's take a minute to schedule your next visit. And you actually open the calendar, or have them open the calendar from their phone. They view your availability, and then that way everything is set up in their calendar. So if they have to get like their nails done or their hair done or do anything else, they already have your appointment in the calendar. That's not going anywhere. They'll schedule their whole lives around that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. So we call it advanced multiple scheduling. So we always ask them, what days work best for you? Oh, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Would you like morning or afternoon? Morning. Okay. Early morning or later morning? Later morning. Okay, great. We'll schedule you at, 10:30 Tuesdays and Thursdays for the next 4 weeks, or whatever their care plan is. And that automation in itself saves me so much time. And now I do have a part-time staff person. And so when that person comes in, they get their reminders. We don't have to say, oh, let's schedule your appointment, or you missed your appointment. And I love what you said is, yeah, we become the most important thing in their schedule because it's all set up, and they getting their nails done and picking up the dog from the groomer. That comes around our appointment.
Exactly. Yeah, we also have in Visita, there's a new feature we're just about to launch in a couple of weeks. I know this isn't, not all clinics can use this, but it's basically a booking, a package booking feature. So you can do the thing where you schedule, each visit individually. You can also, and if this applies to you, you can also pre-sell visits. So you can sell a package of visits and say, I don't know, like if you do massage therapy, you can say, come and book 10 massages, pay for 8. And you get this discount, you pay up front, and then the patient can come into the system and book their next visit anytime they like. And the system will recognize them because there's a login process. So instead of asking them to pay every time, it'll recognize the package credits and then just automatically kind of like deduct a credit from the package. So this is something that we're really excited about. I think a lot of clinics can really get great use out of it, and it's going live in a couple of weeks. So we're super excited.
I am so excited. I did not know about that. That is a big surprise for me. And I am so excited because we do have massage packages in our office, and it is a pain that we're recording them manually. Like when did they come in? When did they pay? Oh my gosh, that will be an awesome automation.
I think customers are going to love it because, it takes away from that annoying kind of tedious process of, oh, okay, every time I have to come and pay. And it does boost loyalty. And because, clients are invested in your clinic, they're invested in your business. This way, once they have these prepaid sessions, even if you do have to, eventually shut down for a couple of weeks, or you have to move things around, that these people aren't going anywhere because they've already invested in your business, and they will be back the day you reopen.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when they come in, we don't want them thinking about payment every time. We want them to think about their health and their care that they're getting. And so having that so they don't have to touch it is wonderful.
Yeah, I grabbed a couple of screenshots. This is just like an illustration of what it will look like. So this is actually just a yoga example, but it's basically, instead of booking the one yoga class, you can book like a yoga package. And then just another idea for maybe some of you where you're looking for other ways to sort of stay in touch with customers or with patients that you haven't been in touch with for a while. You can use Visita or any other email automation tool to send these greetings. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter so much what tools you use, as long as you get this stuff done. You should really use an email platform that gives you inspiration and helps you stay in touch with people. So, even if they're not coming into the clinic, you can still send out an email that says, hey, everybody, I hope you guys are safe. I saw this interesting article and I thought you'd really benefit from it. Or here are 5 great tips for staying safe at home or dieting at home or working out at home or really anything, that's wellness and fitness related. These are just some examples. These are actually like preset templates on Visita. So if you create a Visita account, you will already have these in your account, and you can of course customize them and make them your own, but it's just some good inspiration to give you the ideas.
Well, I love that. I love that. Yeah, we sent out quite a few because we did webinars, health webinars for our patients all through our shutdown for COVID, and the patients were able to interact and talk with me on there, but we send out emails to everybody and we got a really, really good response on that. So how do you even start to have an online presence for your practice?
That's a really great question. I mean, it's kind of like everyone's talking about, oh, you have to move your business online. You have to do this online, that online. And it's actually, not so clear what that actually means. It's like you wake up in the morning and you take your business online. You take your clinic online. What is that? Like, what does that even look like? What is the first step? And I have to say, like, over the last couple of months, I have been in touch with so many doctors or professionals like within the wellness space that have step by step made this remarkable transition where they took their customer base, they took their existing service and found a way to pivot that into an online environment so they can continue seeing patients, in the clinic, but also have this, kind of side stream of revenue where they're seeing patients online. And this is great, for a couple of reasons. You can see people that maybe are worried about going out of the house. You can, it's very efficient. So instead of having people, waiting around in your living room, not in your living room, hopefully, but in your waiting room, each one of them has their own little Zoom appointment. They know exactly what time they have to log on, and then you can give them like a remote consultation. I've been seeing this work really, really well for, different types of professionals and for doctors specifically. The first thing you really do need to do is be able to, enable your customers to make these online bookings. So you have to find a flow, find an experience that works for them to help them understand, what kind of services they're going to be consuming online, give them an easy way to book that service, and see your availability, and then hopefully even pay for that service online. So, and then get a Zoom link. So when the time comes, it's literally a click. They can connect from anywhere. You can be in your clinic, you can be at home. So just again, that's like, you have to, if you're trying to think of, how you can set up your online practice, you really need a way to put your services online so people understand what it is you're selling, what they're going to get. Make it easy for them to schedule so they understand, when they can find a slot that works for them. Make a payment option available so they can pay up front, so you don't have to start dealing with payments when you have a person online. And of course, give them clear instructions. So you want to say, okay, at 5 o'clock tomorrow, here's your Zoom link. We're going to connect via Zoom. And actually, in Visita, we've done this Zoom integration. So when you use the scheduling flow that I showed you just a bit earlier, at the end, the patient will get an email that looks like this. So it's like, okay, you're registered. This is your appointment. This is when it is. This is the Zoom link. You can add it to your calendar. You can add a personal note. So this really gives your patients everything they need to start consuming your services online. And it's a good investment to make now because, I really hope this will be over soon, but the reality is we just don't know. And depending on where you are, for many of us, the winter is still ahead of us. So it's a good time now to invest in these infrastructures that'll help you, move some of your services online now and possibly all of them online in the future.
Right. No, absolutely. So when I got shut down, I absolutely, that's when I started doing all of this, and I started doing telehealth with the patients through Zoom, sending them the reminders just like this, and it worked out so well. And now that I'm back in the office, I'm able to do adjustments on patients. I'm able to do exams and therapies, the hands-on stuff. But we do a lot of functional medicine. And so all of our reportive findings for the labs, we are still doing through telehealth, because I don't want to be, in one little room, and the patient doesn't want to be in one little room going over paperwork so I can share their screen. And I want to train them that there are other ways to see me and there's other ways to come in contact with me, because we don't know what the future holds. And if they shut us down, I'm near Chicago, so we've been shut down quite a bit. I want them to already be trained that they don't lose their chance to have consultations with me just because it got shut down. And they'll already know it because they've experienced at telehealth. And I've had a lot of comments from going over the labs with patients. They're like, wow, we really like doing this telehealth, because it feels like, that screen's right in front of them. They can have their spouse, in on the consultation, where a lot of times they couldn't come in with them. So it's been really, really awesome. And we're kind of training them for whatever the future holds. We're going to be prepared.
Yeah, and I think I just want to add something that I actually heard about yesterday. I've been speaking to some doctors that were a little bit concerned about their clientele and how they may adapt into this online environment. So guys, I just have to tell you this story. The other day, I was trying to connect to a Zoom call for work, and my mom, who is not, I'm sorry, Mom, if you're watching this, I hope you're not, but she is not, I love you, but she's not a technical person at all. Like, she's exactly the type of patient that I'd be concerned about. I'd say, oh man, like, I don't know if she's going to be able to log on to this Zoom. Like, the way I know her, she'll probably end up, like, I don't know, posting something on my own Facebook page. And I was, struggling to connect to Zoom. And suddenly she swoops in, grabs my phone. She's like, no, you have to set this up. You pushed the wrong button. And she's showing me how to connect to Zoom. So I guess if there's also something that has happened in these times, is like some audiences that you would not expect to be so tech savvy and easy to adapt to an online environment are actually really able to bridge that gap and, kind of pivot into this online sphere.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So if doctors want to learn more about Basita, how can they learn more about what you guys do? Because I think that's super, super important.
Sure. So first of all, you're welcome to hop onto our website, basita.com. You can take a look around if you want to learn anything more about features. We have a 14-day free trial. You don't even need to enter your credit card. You just put in, your email address and start setting up your account. So you can open a free account, start looking around, get a better understanding of how it can work and what kind of value it can bring to your business. And if you would like to hop on a call with one of our product specialists, we give free demos. So if you want a demo with one of our representatives, again, no commitment, no credit card. It's just a phone call for you to try and understand if this is something that can work for you and try and understand how Basita can bring value to your business. So you can, first of all, you can do that on our website, but what I recommend is you just write the word demo in the comments and put your email address there, and someone from Basita will reach out and schedule a demo with you.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rachel. I think that we all got really good ideas, do-level things that we can do to try to keep our practice going and having diverse avenues to reach everybody. So it's been great. And so thank you everybody for joining us for Empowering Women with ChiroSecure. Let's make sure we give them lots of thumbs up and hearts, and be sure to tune in 2 weeks where Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp will be our host for Empowering Women. So have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. We hope you enjoyed this week's Facebook Live event. Please like us on Facebook, comment, and share. We look forward to seeing all of you next week for another episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic. Now, go ahead and hit the share button and tell your friends and colleagues about the show. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. This has been a ChiroSecure production.